Here's a story draft for your title. Top HFY Story, 2635 r/HFY. The meeting chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the ventilation system. Dozens of alien diplomats, beings of all shapes, sizes, and biologies, gathered around a circular table, their eyes or equivalent sensory organs locked on the human ambassador. Ambassador Lee leaned back in his chair, one hand resting on the polished steel table. His expression was neutral, bordering on bored, as the ClickTac representative, a towering insectoid with glittering chitin, buzzed angrily. "You cannot expect the Federation to believe that humans achieved such a feat accidentally," ClickTac screeched, mandibles clacking for emphasis. "Terraforming an entire moon in 3 weeks is unprecedented. Explain yourselves." Lee tilted his head and rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Well, we just sort of did it," he said, shrugging. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. The reptilian Hesher delegate leaned forward, tongue flicking in agitation. "Impossible. The energy requirements alone would take centuries to accumulate. No species has that capacity." Lee gave a small, amused smile. "We didn't think too hard about it, just threw a few Dyson Swarm modules together, repurposed a fusion array, and let it run. The engineers worked out the details." "Humans," the ClickTac delegate hissed. "Are you suggesting that your species casually accomplished what the Arcthelians failed to do in a millennia-long project?" Lee shrugged again, leaning forward this time. "We weren't really aiming to terraform, to be honest. It was supposed to be a prototype for a new power grid. The whole habitable environment thing was a happy accident. It just kinda worked out." Another silence fell, thicker this time. Delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The Federation's brightest minds had failed to terraform barren worlds despite centuries of research. Yet here was this human, casually describing the process like he'd stumbled into success by sheer coincidence. A holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the table. The Federation's scientific advisor, a translucent cephalopod being, chimed in. "Ambassador Lee, this cannot be attributed to mere accident. There must have been extensive planning. Humans are known for innovative problem-solving, but this stretches credibility." Lee grinned. "Innovation, huh? Sure, we'll call it that. Honestly, though, humans have this thing we say back home: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We tried something new, it didn't break, so we ran with it." The Hesher delegate hissed in frustration. "Your flippant attitude is infuriating. How can a species so chaotic, so unstructured, achieve what others cannot?" Lee smirked. "Huh," he said simply. "Huh?" ClickTac echoed, confused. "Huh," Lee repeated, leaning back again. "That's the human way. Something weird happens, we scratch our heads, say huh, and figure out how to make it work for us." The chamber erupted into a cacophony of arguments, theories, and disbelief. Lee just sat there, quietly enjoying the chaos he'd sown. Humans, after all, thrived on turning the impossible into the everyday. As the delegates debated, Lee glanced down at his tablet, where a message from Earth HQ flashed. *, new moon terraform detected. Casualties, none. Success rate, 100%. Notes, engineers say they could shave a week off next time. He chuckled to himself. Yeah, humans were pretty good at this whole accidental progress thing. Let me know if you'd like to expand or tweak this. Here's the continuation of the story. The uproar in the chamber reached a crescendo before the Federation chair, an ancient being known as Orthael, raised a single clawed appendage. The delegates quieted, their whispers now barely audible over the ambient hum. "Ambassador Lee," Orthael intoned, its voice deep and resonant, "the Federation respects humanity's achievements, accidental or otherwise. However, such feats inevitably come with risks. How do you ensure your unconventional methods do not destabilize the balance of our collective systems?" Lee raised an eyebrow. "Well, to be fair, we've had a few hiccups here and there." He tapped his tablet, pulling up a list. "There was that time we accidentally created a mini black hole while testing faster-than-light energy containment. We handled it, though, no biggie." ClickTac's mandibles clicked furiously. "A black hole? No biggie? You could have annihilated entire sectors." "Sure," Lee said with a shrug, "but we didn't, and now we've got FTL drives with 12% better fuel efficiency. Win-win, right?" The cephalopod scientist flickered in and out of focus, its bioluminescent tendrils glowing faintly. "Ambassador, the Federation values innovation, but recklessness could." "Recklessness?" Lee interrupted, leaning forward. "Let me tell you something about humans. We push boundaries because we have to. When Earth's environment started going south, we didn't sit around waiting for a miracle. We made one. When our solar system felt too small, we reached for the stars, and yeah, we screw up sometimes, but we learn fast." Orthael's gaze narrowed. And if one of these screw-ups affects more than just humanity? Lee's confident demeanor softened, just a little. Look, I get it, humans are the new kids on the block, and our way of doing things can seem messy, but give us a chance, and you'll see that we don't just survive, we thrive. The chamber fell silent again. This time, the quiet wasn't born of outrage, but of consideration. Even Click-Tack seemed momentarily subdued, its mandibles twitching thoughtfully. Ambassador, Orthael said after a pause, your words carry weight. Humanity's unconventional approach has yielded results, but it also presents risks. The Federation will deliberate on how best to integrate your methods into our collective knowledge. Lee nodded. Fair enough, but while you're deliberating, maybe take another look at that moon we terraformed. The atmosphere is already stable, and the local ecosystem's flourishing. Heck, some of your scientists might even learn a thing or two from our recklessness. The reptilian Hesher delegate let out a low growl. Humans, you are an enigma, a dangerous one. Lee grinned, standing up and gathering his things. Maybe, but we're also the best bet you've got for figuring out the impossible. As Lee left the chamber, he couldn't help but chuckle. He didn't need to hear the Federation's deliberation to know what their decision would be. After all, humanity had been underestimated before, and every single time, they'd turned a skeptical, huh, into a resounding, wow. Would you like to add more action, drama, or technical detail to the story? As the Federation deliberations continued in the vast chamber, Ambassador Lee made his way to the human delegation's quarters. A quiet buzz filled the sleek metallic halls of the Federation station, a stark contrast to the cacophony he'd just left behind. Inside the human delegation's lounge, a few other Earth representatives were gathered around a holographic display. They looked up as Lee entered, their faces a mix of amusement and concern. How'd it go? Asked Dr. Elena Torres, the lead scientist for humanity's terraforming project. Her tone was casual, but the tension in her posture was evident. Lee dropped into a chair with a dramatic sigh. Oh, you know, the usual. Click-Tack thinks we're insane. Orthael is worried we'll accidentally destroy the universe, and the Hesher guy still doesn't like us. Torres rolled her eyes. Classic. Did you tell them about the part where the project was supposed to be a solar farm? I might have hinted at it, Lee said with a grin. Didn't think they needed all the details. Captain Raj Patel, the head of the military contingent, leaned against the wall, arms crossed. They'll come around, they always do. What's next on the agenda? Lee opened his tablet and scrolled through a list. Well, apparently some of the Federation delegates want to tour the moon, see the results firsthand. Torres raised an eyebrow. They want proof? Of course they do, Lee said. Wouldn't you, if you thought some upstart species had accidentally achieved what your people couldn't in 1,000 years? Patel smirked. Let's give them the grand tour, then, show them how reckless humans get things done. The shuttle to the terraformed moon was a sleek Federation vessel, its design elegant and efficient. On board, the Federation delegates sat in stunned silence as they approached the moon's surface. From the observation deck, the view was breathtaking. What had once been a barren, lifeless rock was now teeming with greenery. Oceans glittered under the system's twin suns, and clouds lazily drifted across a vibrant blue sky. Automated drones zipped through the air, tending to the newly seeded ecosystem. Click-Tack's mandibles twitched in disbelief. This cannot be real. Lee leaned casually against the railing, gesturing to the holographic display tracking the moon's atmosphere. It's real, oxygen levels are stable, temperatures holding, and the ecosystems are self-regulating. We even found signs of early microbial life adapting to the environment. The Hesher delegate squinted at the display. How, even with your explanation, this level of progress should be impossible in such a short time. Dr. Torres stepped forward, her voice steady and confident. We didn't approach it the way your scientists might have. Instead of focusing on perfecting individual systems, we worked on integrating them. A little trial and error, a lot of machine learning, and some good old-fashioned human ingenuity. Click-Tack turned to her, his tone sharp. And the risks? What if your trial and error had failed? Torres met his gaze without flinching. Failure is always a possibility, but we mitigate risks where we can. The key is to keep moving forward, learning from every mistake. Orthael, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. It seems, Ambassador Lee, that humanity's strength lies not in perfection, but in adaptability. Your willingness to embrace uncertainty is unique among the Federation species. Lee grinned. That's the human way. We don't wait for perfect conditions, we make them. As the shuttle circled back toward the Federation station, the delegates were deep in thought. For the first time, it seemed, they were beginning to see humanity not as reckless upstarts, but as a force to be reckoned with. Back on the station, as the Federation Council reconvened, Orthael addressed the assembly. It is clear that humanity brings something new to our collective, a spirit of innovation and resilience that challenges our conventions. Their methods may be unconventional, but their results speak for themselves. Lee watched the proceedings from his seat, a small, satisfied smile on his face. Humanity had made its mark on the galaxy, one at a time. Would you like to explore what happens after humanity integrates into the Federation, or perhaps shift to a new challenge they face? Humanity's success with the Stellar Forge project rippled through the Federation like a supernova. No longer relegated to the fringes of galactic respectability, they were now considered pioneers, but with fame came scrutiny, and with scrutiny came challenges. The first sign of trouble appeared 6 months later during a meeting of the Federation Council. We have detected anomalies in the Andera sector, Kliktak began, his mandibles clacking with urgency. Massive energy fluctuations, gravitational disturbances, signs that suggest destabilization. Lee leaned back in his chair, trying to suppress a groan. Let me guess, you think it's our fault? Kliktak's compound eyes narrowed. The timing is suspicious. Your Stellar Forge project may have had unintended consequences. Dr. Torres shook her head, her tone sharp. That's impossible. We've been monitoring the neutron star's output constantly. Everything's within safe parameters. The Hesher delegate hissed. Nevertheless, the Federation demands a full investigation. If humanity's recklessness has jeopardized the Andera sector. Whoa, Lee interrupted, raising his hands. We'll look into it, but don't jump to conclusions. Humans might be bold, but we're not careless. The investigation team, composed of human engineers and Federation scientists, arrived in the Andera sector aboard the Unity Spark, a state-of-the-art exploration vessel. The sector was eerily quiet, its stars dimmer than usual. Scanners detected faint gravitational ripples, like echoes of a distant catastrophe. This doesn't look good, Patel muttered, studying the readings on his console. Torres frowned. The fluctuations don't match anything from the Stellar Forge. They're too chaotic. It's almost like something's tearing the fabric of space. Lee, standing at the observation window, folded his arms. If it's not us, then what is it? The answer came sooner than they expected. A Federation probe, dispatched to the heart of the anomalies, transmitted images that stunned the entire team. In the void, a massive structure floated, an artificial construct of incomprehensible scale. Its design was unlike anything in the Federation's extensive archives, pulsing with energy. It seemed both ancient and alive. What in the galaxy is that? Patel whispered. Torres's voice was hushed. Whatever it is, it's the source of the disturbances, and it's waking up. Before anyone could respond, the construct emitted a low-frequency pulse that reverberated through the ship. Lights flickered, and systems sputtered. Then, a voice, ancient, resonant, and chilling, filled the cabin. Intruders, you awaken the Guardian of Andera. State your purpose, or be eradicated. Lee exchanged a glance with Torres and Patel. Well, he muttered, this just got interesting. The next few hours were a blur of activity as the team scrambled to communicate with the entity. Attempts to decipher its language revealed fragments of information. The Guardian was a relic of an extinct civilization, tasked with protecting the Andera sector from threats. The anomalies were a result of its long-dormant systems reactivating. We didn't cause this, Torres said, her voice tinged with relief. The Guardian's systems are destabilizing the sector as they come online. It's ancient, probably millennia old. But why now? Patel asked. Why reactivate after all this time? Torres hesitated. Maybe the Stellar Forge project sent out signals that reached this far. It could have triggered a failsafe. Lee sighed. Great. So, indirectly, it is our fault. The Guardian's voice boomed again. You have interfered with the balance. Correct this disruption, or face annihilation. Lee stepped forward, addressing the construct. All right, big guy, we'll fix it. Just give us the time and space to figure out how. The Guardian's response was cryptic. Prove your worth. The trial begins now. Before they could react, the ship's sensors lit up with warnings. The space around them began to warp, folding in on itself. They were being pulled into what could only be described as a massive labyrinth of gravitational fields and energy barriers, a trial designed by the ancient civilization to test intruders. Looks like we're playing by its rules, Lee said, his grin belying the tension in his voice. Time to turn another into a win. As the Unity Spark maneuvered through the labyrinth, the team faced challenges that pushed human ingenuity to its limits, gravitational traps that bent the laws of physics, riddles encoded in ancient energy signatures, and rogue drones left behind by the Guardian's creators. At every turn, the Federation scientists marveled at humanity's resourcefulness. Where other species might hesitate, Humans improvised. Where others saw barriers, they saw opportunities. Finally, after days of relentless effort, they reached the heart of the labyrinth, a glowing core that pulsed with unimaginable energy. Torres and her team worked quickly, stabilizing the Guardian's systems and reprogramming its failsafes. As the labyrinth dissolved around them, the Guardian's voice returned, softer this time. You have proven yourselves. The Andera sector is safe. Humanity is worthy. Back on the Federation station, the Andera crisis became another chapter in humanity's growing legend. Critics still called them reckless, but even they couldn't deny the results. Lee, as always, shrugged off the praise. We just did what humans do best, figured it out as we went. The galaxy had learned something important about humanity that day. They didn't just survive in the face of the impossible, they thrived. And somewhere deep in the Andera sector, the Guardian watched, waiting for the next time it might need to test the worth of the newcomers. Would you like to continue exploring humanity's challenges with the Guardian, or should we pivot to a new adventure?